thought in my mind like, it's time consuming and all that kind of stuff. You got to commit to it, but it's definitely worth it. That's for sure.
I got involved with this men's ministry, and the first day, I always had in the back of my mind that I wasn't going to like it. I didn't want to go, and it ended up that I pacified my son, and I told him that I wasn't coming to the second one, and I wasn't going to buy a book. So, being a recovering alcoholic, whenever I go to meetings and there's newcomers there, I always tell them that they should come to a meeting at least 5 times before they make judgment on it. I went home and I prayed about it, and that evening I felt very, very moved because of the fact that I wasn't walking the talk, which is one thing that we're supposed to do in AA. I've been doing it for 20 years, but now my son gave us this opportunity, and I wasn't walking the talk. So I volunteered to go for the rest of them. And in the first series, Series 33, was so mind-opening for me. I'm 70 years of age, and I found myself learning things about my father that I never even thought about. And then I learned things about how I treated my son through his childhood as being an alcoholic, and then how I affected his life being a recovering alcoholic. And with that, we started to go to these meetings, and we found ourselves every time, either on the phone or even together with the family, we started talking about authentic manhood and how it affected our lives. And then I tried to explain to my son how it affected my life so that he knew where I was coming from through not just me, but through my father as well. And it was very, very heartwarming. It was very, very informational for the pure sake that I'm 70 years old. I thought I knew everything, and now I know I don't, because it was such a blessing that God came into my life and told me to go at least 5 times. I did the first series, and I attended the second series, and now I'm about to attend the third series. And it's very, very interesting, and it touched my heart in a way that my son and I finally, after all these years, did something together, and we did it with our beliefs in Jesus Christ.
I could say we got much a friendship. I think that's more of that's the way I would look at it. It's a buddy. You know, that's I guess how I kind of look at that. Maybe we didn't have that early on, and with Dad working, and then eventually kind of get a little older, teenage, and then you don't want nothing to do with mom and pop type of thing. So. And then all of a sudden, young adulthood, and then into full-grown adult, and you got your own things going on. So I think it's kind of neat, kind of a maybe one way to look at it maybe is that we maybe missed some of that stuff early on. Where now today, I think it's to me a little more rich, a little more real. Where we can actually have. I'm looking forward to having these types of conversations with my kids.
What really inspired us on this whole series was that it got to the point where when Joe missed a series, that we met at a restaurant an hour before the next series, and we discussed what had went on in the first series. And that was probably the first time in my life that I ever sat down with my son and had a man-to-man talk. And it was very, very comforting, very, very rewarding. And today, it's to the point where, whether it be scriptures that we quote or talk to each other, are basically what came out of all this Authentic Manhood series is the fact that we're doing something together for the first time in our lives. A father and son, we're both learning at the same pace, and we're sharing each other's feelings and our thoughts about not just the past, but what lies ahead. I always look at it like if you're driving a car, keep your head forward, meaning I look forward to God. And if I want to dwell on the past, it's like looking in a rearview mirror. And if you don't watch where you're going ahead, you're going to have an accident. So my whole life revolves around the fact that AA has taught me a lot of this. And I came to my senses when I was brought up in a Christian atmosphere. However, I never practiced it. And when I got through AA recovery, I was told there was a higher power, and I knew exactly who that higher power was. And that helped me to go through 20 years without drinking, without so much as one relapse. The biggest thing that I got out of that was one step that God led me closer to my son, and it all came through men's ministry. No matter what your age is, you still have an opportunity to put these things behind you and say, hey, let's go forward. And I found going forward was through men's ministry and Series 33.
I'd say you just got to do it. That's just bottom line what it comes down to. You know, Dad and I don't have 100% everything shared. You know, we have maybe different interests in other stuff too, but this is something that we have a mutual interest in, and it just ties in with everything else. You know, and everything else that we do separately. This knits all together. It just fits right in. So I would say maybe if there's a guy out there that's maybe just doesn't have that, or maybe doesn't even care at this point in time, that whatever, it is what it is. I would say put that to a test to some degree.